If you have a website that collects user information, user data, or sells products or services, you probably should have legal information on the website. So you should have legal pages on that website. That's what we're going to talk about here inside Future Steps Creative. This is the video podcast that talks about online strategies, especially around your website or content marketing. I'm your host, Marlon McPherson, and we're going to jump into this, explain what legal pages are, why you should have them, and how you can get them implemented. So let's jump into the content. So let's examine what legal information you need to have and why. Legal information refers to the rules of engagement. If someone wants to use your website, it declares what happens on your website and identifies and satisfies legal requirements in different countries or regions around data protection. Now, there are two common pages that you should have on your website, or you could have on your website. One of them, I think, is more common, is the privacy policy. This outlines how you collect user data and how you process this data. And the second one is your terms of use, or the terms and conditions page. This is important for you to outline your particular rules that you want your users to follow if they decide to use your website. And if someone decides that they don't like the rules that you set for your website, then they should not be using the website. Now, what if you don't sell products or collect user information? Do you still need these legal pages on your site? Well, if you have a modern website, you most likely need a privacy policy, as you probably collect personally identifiable user information. This could include name, email address, telephone number, physical address, date of birth, any information that you may collect that is trackable back to this specific user or identifiable as coming from a particular user, is basically classified as collecting personal data. Most sites nowadays are primarily software based and need certain information to be saved behind the scenes on a user, and this allows them to deliver a website or the browser to deliver the best possible user experience they can deliver. So for example, web browsers such as Chrome, Safari, or Firefox have features that communicates with WordPress websites and saves user information in the form of cookies. This data is then used to track to track the user activities and tailor the experience to that particular user. Now, what happens if you don't have these on your website? Well, many sites have been operating for years without having any sort of legal information about data usage and data protection, and they've been just fine. However, data protection laws have been becoming stricter, and therefore you need to basically protect yourself against any possible lawsuits or big fines if you've been found to be in breach of the rules. These rules vary across the world, and by nature of how the internet works, users could be from anywhere that end up on your website. That being said, being compliant worldwide is important regardless of where you or your website's based. GDPR and other rules are things that you need to really pay attention to. And I'm going to explain what these are. Rules and regulations from other regions I'm talking about, as well as GDPR. So one of the legal frameworks to follow is the General Data Protection Regulation, which is known as GDPR for short, which is based in the EU, but also applies outside of the EU, provided that you have EU residents visiting your site, then the rules apply to you as well. It sets out guidance on the collecting and processing of personal data. Now, similar frameworks exist in other countries. In the United States, for example, they even break it down to state level. So they have slightly different rules depending on whether or not you're in California versus New York State, for example. So if you're going to be dealing with visitors from those regions or those countries or those places, you need to make sure that you include things in your privacy policy that satisfies the requirements of these various regulatory institutions or bodies that set out the guidelines for data protection. The same goes for, I did mention other countries, yeah. So any country that you have visitors coming from, you will need to satisfy their rules as well. So it's important to research it and make sure that you understand your user base and know how you expect them to use the site and what information you'll be needing from them or collecting behind the scenes from them. And you need to declare this in a privacy policy. Now, how can you get these legal pages? Now, these pages have to be carefully put together based on user interactions with your particular website. There are a number of options available to you for writing content for these pages. Of course, you could write it yourself if you are competent enough, if you have a good enough understanding of the guidance and what needs to be included. But really, it maybe isn't something that you should be writing if you're not someone that specializes in doing that, or if you don't have a full understanding of what to do. Because one thing is saying that, okay, I have it, but if it's not effective in terms of covering all the bases, then there's no point. Actually, you don't even need to write it, because there are services that's available and tools that's available that you can utilize to help you get your privacy policy at least done on your website. So I have a couple here that I'd like to mention. So there's a website called privacypolicies.com. This service offers a free and a premium option. The free option has a few features, or has a few things included in what can be in the document. But if you want like additional things to be included, the premium version covers that, and you should be able to just go on the site and fill in the details of what's on your site, or how users use your site, and then it should just generate that privacy policy for you. I believe it does it as a live policy that gets embedded on your site, and then if you update it on their end, it gets updated on your site live as well. So it's not that you have to manually go in and each time edit stuff on the actual page. I don't use this service personally. I haven't actually used it, so I can't speak to how it works and so on, but that's just one option that I have seen other people recommend, and I've checked out the site and it looks like it has the options that you do need. The one that I use is the second option here that I'm going to mention, and it's called Termageddon. And I guess they played on words, terms and conditions, or the word term, and everyone's trying to get their terms and conditions done or their privacy policies done. This company here, you can find it at termageddon.com. So this is a premium service which covers worldwide regulations and provides automatic updates to the privacy policy page whenever there's a change to the rules. Now, this is especially important if you are doing business with anyone in America, or you have visitors coming from America, where it varies by state, as I mentioned earlier. So you'd want to make sure that you are up to date with any change that might happen in one part of the United States versus another. And if you're busy running your business or running your website, your organization, whatever you do, you don't have time to be tracking these things. So these guys here are on top of it, and they're pretty good at making sure that they update the information that's displayed on your website inside your privacy policy. And again, this is a live service where they give you some code to enter onto the site. Once you set up the options on their end, you have a login to their system where you just put through all the details that you need to be included in your privacy policy. They then just spit out the code and give it to you to embed on your website, and then you don't need to kind of go and change anything. They do the updating on their end, and it's pretty affordable. So you can check out the link. I'll include a link, my link, that you can go through and check out the information there. Now, to summarize this, you do need a privacy policy, even if you don't think you collect any information. You probably do. Or if you just collect basic information, you still need a privacy policy to be in the clear legally, or to at least satisfy the requirements of all the different types of legal frameworks. It's also wise to have a terms of use page to let people know how you expect them to use your website, so that if there's any kind of disputes or disagreements, at least they know, that basically you've outlined whatever the rules of engagement are, and you can have something to fall back on to say, look, it was there. This is what you signed up to or you agreed to when you decided to use my website. And the third point I have in summary here is that you can use a service that will help you put together your legal pages instead of trying to write it yourself, in which case you may not cover the correct bases or have the right things in it. So to conclude this episode, I'd like to mention my free website review if you're looking to get some honest feedback from a user experience standpoint, as well as from a professional standpoint, in terms of how you can improve your website and make it work for you and create a better user experience. Head over to marlonmcpherson.com/free review, and you can sign up for a free website review where I go through some pages on your website and basically record a video live showing you how I'm navigating the site and what I'm observing, and so on and so forth. So hopefully you can use that to create a better experience on your site, or to help the site improve in other ways. So that's all I've got for you in this particular episode. Do check out one of the other episodes and any of the other videos that I might have on my YouTube channel. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you in the next one.